After more than 2 years of hard work, I can say that our committee has succeeded in coming up with an alternative to prohibition that is both promising and innovative. Our proposals are more serious and show more respect for human rights than those that would involve only depenalization and decriminalization of cannabis. Of course, in my country, the government had announced that they will table in front of Parliament a bill that will decriminalize, that's the word they use, the use of a small quantity of cannabis. To make sure that everybody understands what it means, it is not decriminalization, it is depenalization. Similar regime than the one you have in Italy. It means that the prohibition will remain. Only the sanction, the penalization of what is illegal will be diminished. So the prohibition will remain. That bill is promised to be tabled in Parliament before the adjournment in June, and will probably be passed by Christmas. So it means that in Canada, the law of the land will be changed, and for a small quantity of cannabis use and cultivation of a similar small quantity, the penalties will be lesser than they are now. Consequently, we will have a different regime in Canada, but understand me right, and the minister will be, of course, present to explain the detail of his bill. Prohibition remains. So those who are worried with the future of drug prohibition in the North American continent, don't worry. Prohibition will remain. So don't debate on words, argue on the meanings of those words. So our proposals, back to them, they will allow states, my state, to more effectively combat and tackle the growing influence of organized crime or terrorism over the long term, and to provide better public health protection. Even though I am proud of our recommendations, my experience in politics leads me to be realistic about what the future holds for them. Canada's geographic position, its major trade relationship with the United States, and issues surrounding border protection, and Canada's international obligation with respect to the control of illegal drugs mean that if the Canadian government were to decide to act upon our recommendations in the near future, it would have to begin by adopting a new public policy on drugs. My view is that we can do so without any concern. As for the legalization of cannabis, even though Canada is a sovereign country that is free to pass any legislation it deems appropriate for the welfare of its citizens, the legalization of cannabis could only be considered while the United States of America is also doing the same thing at the same time. Even though many years will likely go by before the dawn of the new day arrives, I am convinced that the days of prohibition are numbered in North America, despite the declarations made recently in Vienna. Why? Because Canadians and Americans want rigorous and objective information, not only about cannabis and other legal and illegal psychoactive substances, but also about the harmful effect of the war on drugs. They know that all use is not an abuse. They know that, and they believe that. They are becoming increasingly aware that the actual policy is a costly failure and are therefore desperately searching for answer to the legitimate question. They want transparency in an informed, comprehensive, and democratic public debate on these substances. We can have that now without changing the law. Since September 2002, I have been pleasantly surprised that our report has contributed to generating such debate in Canada and in the United States. Before I conclude, in a recent poll released during the weekend in my country, only 14% of the Canadian population want the status quo to be the law of the land. Only 14% of the Canadian population want to keep prohibition as it is now. One final word. We are here today to seek your help fulfilling our important endeavors. Unfortunately, almost a century ago, the enactment of prohibition laws was made possible through public misinformation, in part due to some print media organizations' voracious appetite for bigger circulations. Afterward, and still, the ongoing demonization of psychoactive substances through various films, advertising, news items, and publications was the accepted norm without any or almost any manifestation of the traditional and expected scrutiny of the media. It is now the time for you, member of the Washington Press Club, nationally and internationally, I will add, renowned and respected, to take place in that debate and play your much-needed role. Please be now part of the solution. Thank you very much.